Okay.
It's okay. I was about to get sappy anyways. But anyways, we started small and grew and grew and grew. And a lot of people want to know what the secret sauce was. And there is a secret sauce, but the nice thing is it doesn't matter the size of your company. You all can do it. And we, at the time, granted, this was a period in the piano servicing world that may have started to change now, but rewind to 2005, you had a bunch of old timers as technicians that got to succeed by just being able to be a tuner. And so there was a bit of a they would use the word client a lot, and we use the word customer. And so a client makes people think that, wait, my clients need me. I'm a lawyer. My clients need me. And we flipped the script and said, our customers are who we need. We serve them. And we took the different philosophy. It's like, we're going to be creating an experience that is unlike anything else, that leaves the customer wanting more, just feeling cared for. And so, like, that's our slogan, care that inspires. And so that is honestly the secret sauce. And most people will not do that. And so that is a way that each one of you will be able to differentiate yourself. And it's something that you need to create as a value. So a value is something that you have underneath the value, you have beliefs and attitudes, and therefore underneath that you have behaviors. So everything stems from your values to your behaviors, but you have to have the right belief. I believe that these are customers and not people that need me. I need them. And so I've talked to most all of you. Robert, you're very, you're tender towards your customers, and you're like, I want to be there for them. And I hear that in all of you. So I think that's a great first start to this. But there's other tips and tricks that we're going to get into today that kind of help take it into high gear. And with that, Stacy, I think, maybe first we can open it up for any questions right here, right now. And we can start with, are there questions about Artisan? Is there anything about what I've just said that people have questions about? If not, that's totally fine.
There was a nice video on the lesson about the history and starting with your family. That was really good.
Good. Well, Stacy, I'm going to let you take it away. You want to start hearing? Let's listen to some of these questions.
Okay. Let's do some of the business ones. Actually, yeah, let's do those first. Let's do the business ones first. Okay. For anyone out there charging for tunings, because not all of you are yet, right? Yep. When did you feel confident to start charging money for tunings?
Okay. Most people don't know this, but my wife and I had never planned on starting Artisan, our own company, at all. I was working for a retailer, a place that my mentor taught me, and I was working there. But a week before we got married, it was discovered that he was involved in some horrendous activity. So I was living in the apartments above the workshop, and so we had to be like out of a job, out of a place to live. And I needed to make an income. And so Kathy and I started the company. And so I don't feel like if I could go back and give back the money to those people, I wish I could. I probably charged sooner than what I should have out of starvation and necessity. Once I could tune a piano in a certain amount of time, for whatever reason, that was a big one for me. Once I could tune a piano in an hour and a half, and I felt pretty good, and I had friends play them and stuff like that, because I would recommend starting with family and friends, and that way you can kind of go back to their house and just be like, hey, how's it sound? Oh my gosh, this sounds horrible. Like it never got tuned. Okay, let's work this. I would say for me, it was when I could get the time down to under 2 hours, and then I was able to go back to friends and family and know that okay, it's holding up. That was for me. But again, I kind of had to jump that. But if I could do it again, that's what it would have been more.
I would agree with
Was
the
there a question?
time. Yeah, I would agree with the time, because some of my techs that I've started in the field, they were like 3 hours or more, and that's just too long to be in someone's house. It's too
Yeah.
long unless they're like paying for a full day. So yeah. Victor had a question. Do you have special rate for schools, academies, and dealers, etc.? Good question.
Great question. One of the things that Artisan has done well over the years is network. And so early on, you're usually going to have more time than money. So as a new business owner, you usually have more time than money. And so use your time to make money. And so what I did early on is when Kathy and I started the business, I would volunteer and do free work for every teacher I could find. I'm like, I don't have anything else to do today. I found a very prestigious piano teacher, and I'm going to go do a regulation, or I'm going to go do some voicing and a tuning. And then they just like, I love David. I love Victor. I love Robert. And that starts to snowball. And you're going to have days where like, I have nothing to do. Look through the websites. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and call Susie Smith. She's a piano teacher. Just say, hey, I see that you have just all these, business and your tuned pianos. And I know that a lot of piano teachers, they don't have tuned pianos a lot of times. Can I come out there and work on your piano? And so I would do a lot of that type of free work. Same with in retailers, just to get started, saying, hey, can I do some floor tunings for you? I don't think we would be where we're at today as Artisan if we hadn't developed a very special, deep relationship with retailers. That was huge for us because most retailers do not want to tune pianos. They're not in the tuning business. They refer. You get in good with the retailers. You do some free tunings. You do discounted tunings. You'll start seeing that trickle in. Fast forward to today, we don't really do a lot of discounted work for retailers anymore, but we still do discounted work for teachers and schools and universities, academies, and things of that nature. And what we charge is our service call rate. So our tuning rate is based on a 2-hour appointment. Our service call rate is based on an 1.5 hour appointment, half hour to drive, hour of being there. A tuning appointment is 1.5 hours to be there, half an hour drive. How I make first contact with teachers is it was kind of a chain reaction. I went to the local retailer and say, hey, who's your best teachers? Who's your favorite teachers? Who are the movers and shakers? And then I was like, oh, it's these lists of 10. Great. I'm going to go ahead and just call them. And they could hear the genuineness in my voice of just, and usually they're like, well, what's the catch? How long you been doing it? And sure, you're going to get people that are like, hey, I only let so-and-so tune. That's fine. You'll eventually get some of them, and they'll start to trickle in, because once you get one, they'll recommend you to their other teacher that get a free tuning. And Robert, you're already doing free tunings, which is great. So I would just humbly come in there and just be like, hey, I'm a piano technician. I know that a lot of teachers need work. Can I come and work on your piano for free? And I would love to just show you what I can do. And if at any point in the future you or your students need help, you'll already know that you can trust me. That's kind of it.
Churches are a big one too. Local churches are huge source of referrals. Janice had a question a little bit above. Should you establish a company as an LLC, or how do you make a company? Like, how do you even start all that?
That's a great question. Typically what you do, Artisan wouldn't be an incorporated or a corporation if it wasn't for the fact that we have multiple people. basically, when you decide to become a corporation, you're doing it for not tax purposes, but more safety. You're basically creating separation in case there's a claim. So my wife and I won't lose our houses if our listing gets in trouble, because it's, so they said most single operators just do what's called a sole proprietorship, or a DBA, doing business as. So it would be Andy Barlow doing business as Barlow Piano Tuning. And it's a very easy thing to set up with your local city and state. And it would just be your name, your social security number is what you do. And that's how your business is looked at in the eyes of the nation or in the state.
Yeah.
So that's the easiest, it's the least expensive. Stacy, do you agree?
Yeah, I was gonna say same in Utah. That's exactly what I would recommend. Just
Yeah,
here it's
you can also
$35.
look at doing a single member LLC, which is very similar to a sole proprietorship. So your state might have different differentiation depending on what state you're in, but from the federal side, it's basically the same.
Yeah, and I do know that in the last 20 years since we incorporated and started, there's been a lot of little changes. Like back in the day when we incorporated, I think it was like $2,500. So it was a bigger deal than I think, Andy, you just said you did an LLC for a couple $100. That just doesn't feel like that was the case back in the day.
In Indiana, is basically $100.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I'm a fan of, if you can afford it and you feel like that separation, if you have assets, that's, and it's worth doing it. But usually you have to have incorporation documents, you have to have minutes, it's a bigger deal when you create a corporation. And sometimes for a single operator for the first 2 to 5 years, it's not really worth it.
There's another question. Were you insured? Were you an insured guild member starting out? Like how long were you working before you got an RPT exam? Oh, that's a good question.
Sure. So the first question is, yes, day one, I literally just called my not real estate. I called our insurance agent who did my auto insurance at the time. And I said, hey, I'm starting my own business. I just need your basic business insurance. I think it was like $12 a month for basic liability, given what we do as a company. So I just called my local insurance provider for that. I didn't even know about the PTG insurance back then. And so that's what I did. But yes, I did it day one just because I was afraid of just something happened. I was a 20-year-old newly married kid. I had no money. If somebody went after me, I was done. And so that's what I did. Was there a question about the RPT, Stacy?
Yeah.
Okay.
How long were you working before you got your RPT, or like tested for it before you tested for it? Like felt you were ready?
I started when I was 15 working on pianos. So 39, 20 years. So after about a year of apprenticing, a year and a half or two, I started going through the exams. So I was 16 and I did the written and then I did the technical, and I was preparing for my tuning exam. And then I said something to the effect of like, oh, I'm going to be glad when these RPT exams are done and I get my RPT status, because then I could stop paying my dues. And then somebody said to me, well, David, if you get your RPT, it goes away. That status goes away if you stop paying your monthly dues or your yearly dues. And I was 16, and I was so mad about that, y'all. I was so mad, and I thought that was ridiculous that I kind of did a big kind of a thing to that. And so I never pursued the last exam. And so that's, I felt like, hey, I know how to tune. I know how to do I passed the written, I passed the technical, I know how to work on pianos. I'm a rebuilder. I don't need this. I don't want it. Granted, looking back, I'm like, why didn't I just do it? I don't know. Because now I have to like retake them, and I'm like, I don't have the time. And I mean, we're Artisan. We don't need it the same. I don't know. Maybe we'll take a vote. Should I go take it or just not?
As long as you don't fail.
Yeah, I know. Like, hey, Artisan, you bombed.
Well, I think it's motivating and uplifting to know that how much success you build in this industry, and you don't have that title. It's kind of makes me more confident that I can do it too.
Yeah. Well, and that was a big one because when I launched out on my own with Kathy, I actually called a couple people, including somebody that owned a really very popular school at the time. And basically they were like, you will never make it without doing this stuff by our rules. And I really, again, I was not in a great headspace because of what had happened. And so I was very upset about the feedback that I was getting, at least at the local level of the chapter that I was at. And so I was very much like, I'm going to show you all that I can build something that without what you're saying I have to do. And that's a lot of what we kind of did. But I'm not saying that that's the right way. I'm just saying that that's what we did. And yes, and I think a lot of it too is I met a lot of RPTs that were not worth their weight as a tech. And that really upset me because a lot of people, it felt like, oh, I got my RPT status, I can be done. And I don't like that. I like a master is never, you never arrive. But I felt like when a lot of people got that RPT status, it was like, I'm done. And I didn't care for that. Granted, that's not everybody, but it was just something I saw a lot of at the time. Sorry, PGG. I'm really a big fan. I'm like, dude, I'm not trying to dog on it. I'm just saying that there's other ways. And I do love the idea of going to the RPT exams to push yourself. Push yourself, get more education and do that. But don't think you're going to arrive. Don't think it's going to open all these doors. Just do it for yourself if you want it. And if you don't do it.
An interesting anecdote, David, because I went to the chapter meeting yesterday in Indianapolis, and the current president of the chapter meeting, his dad's been doing piano repair and restoration for going on probably 50 years, and he doesn't have an RPT, but he's one of the best technicians in the state of Indiana.
Yeah.
So it's not a requirement. If you do good work, people will know that you do good work. The word will get out.
Yep. That being said, I've gone to a lot of conventions and things of that nature. And in these conventions, you have like, Michael, Janice, Andy, RPT or associate. And I do have to say, for years when going to those, it was kind of a feeling of like, oh, you're an associate. That's cute. So there is some of that. Luckily, yeah, I haven't experienced that in a little while. So maybe that's different, or maybe they just know of Artisan. I don't know, but that was a definite thing. But hey, that's not a big deal. All of our pride and ego could use a little bit of a check sometimes. So
that's good. Oh, going back, there was one I missed on churches. Like, how big are churches in the business? That's a good question.
They're big enough to warrant some work. They're going for it as far as to market to them, for sure. And they're usually people that will stick with you long term and do at least once, but usually twice a year, and have at least 2 pianos usually. They usually have something in the choir room and something in the main. And so it's definitely worth doing.
And honestly, we get so many referrals from churches because the people that play at the churches start referring. I just see so many referrals from churches. So I think that's definitely, if you're looking. Yeah. And another thing, customer wise, you can, for teachers, there's always music teacher associations in your area. You can literally Google them, and there's a whole list, and their phone numbers are on there. So you can just call them. Like, don't be scared to just call them and be like, hey. And then when they like you, they do refer. So, yeah.
And the climate today is different than it was 25 years ago. There were a lot more technicians a couple decades ago than there are today. So you might find a lot of these teachers like, yes, great. I haven't been able to get a hold of Earl. I don't know why, for some reason, a lot of technicians seemed like their name was Earl.
There's a good question on that RPT question. How important is it? Is that certification? We kind of talked about that, but like, do most customers care? How many of us are pursuing that in this group? Those are good questions. I don't know which one we should
That's
start.
a great question. Maybe a show of hands. How many of you are wanting to do the RPT? Raise your hand. Okay, so like, yeah, that's great. So at least half. And so the only thing to know is it really, unless you're deep into the East Coast music community, I haven't noticed it. I mean, on the East Coast, because there's all that piano Americana culture history, I think it's a bigger deal on the East Coast than it is the West Coast. I've noticed that a little bit, I haven't found, they used to say it opens a lot of doors because universities will only hire RPTs and things of that nature. That has since changed in the last 5 years. Now they're just like, please, somebody come help us. So I just go into it not thinking, okay, this is gonna open a bunch of doors marketing wise and stuff like that. Because we have tens of thousands of customers. We don't lose any of them because we don't, none of them ask, are you an RPT? I mean, Stacy, does that come up very often here with Artisan?
It doesn't at Artisan. Here in Utah, like, we have a lot of techs that work for other techs, and yeah, your commissions are higher, your pay is higher if you're an RPT. That is a thing here. That's a very big thing here in Utah. So that can affect those kind of situations. But as far as customers, it's about word of mouth and Google reviews, and do you do good work? In the end, that's what matters.
Yeah.
There's
Did
another.
that answer the question?
Yeah. Did that answer the question sufficiently? Yeah. This is a good one. How does playing ability help you communicate with the needs of customers? Like, if you're a really good player, does it make a huge difference?
I would say it actually hurts it. If you're a really good player, I would say it actually is not great. Because, and I've hired and worked with technicians in all different levels. What I've found is that the less a player and the more mechanical than an artist they are, the better. The more mechanical you can be, the more non-partial you can be. I have found that with the technicians that I've hired that were great players and stuff like that, a lot of times, and now this isn't everybody, but a lot of times they're putting in their own opinions and they're putting in their own things that they want, and that they're not as customer focused sometimes. It does make it harder to communicate though. For me, I'm not a big piano player. I'm a guitarist, but I'm not a big piano player by any means. I play 2 songs. That's it. 1.5 maybe. So it's not by any means a deal breaker if you can have, because you're there not to be a competing artist. You're there to be a detective, a mechanic. You're not the race car driver. You're the mechanic making it so the race car moves right for them. That's what you need to remember. So you can be both, but both have their pros and cons. If you're going to be if you're a really good artist with a pianist, you're going to have to be careful to not put your 2 cents in there too much and your wants. If you're just more of a mechanic and not really a player, you're going to have to learn the language. Is that pros and cons? You can do. We have both. Just by the way. We have some technicians that for us that are amazing, amazing players, and others that don't know how to play a whole song, and they've had to learn and adapt.
I will say though, you ought to learn at least one good song that you can demo. You don't have to even really play well at all, okay? Because like, I didn't start taking piano till college, so super late start, right? And I had to learn to play a few songs selling pianos because sold pianos for 8 years. And I just needed 2 or 3 good demo songs, and no one knew that I'd played that song so many times. But if you know how to just demo it well, then they want to hear the piano when it's done tuned.
Do you all want to show? I can show you the song that I play, and it's not even a real song, but you want to hear what I play after I'm done with every piano? All right, the piano's right over here, so I'm going to just go, I'm going to point the mic, and you can hear it. And this is literally it.
I hope it's hot cross buns.
Chopsticks, please.
Ta-da!
Yay!
Bravo, bravo.
The series of
Encore,
chords.
encore.
All whites. Yes, Amy, all whites.
The
5 unison sounded off.
Oh yeah, that piano's, it's been moved and yeah. No, it's fine.
Hey Sonata in C major.
So yeah, that's a lot of people think that you have to be good players, but nope.
I think you might need to adjust the microphone, David.
Oh, thank you.
You got really quiet
better?
again.
There you go.
Now, I have a question, David. Just kind of jump to another kind of topic here. Something we're kind of worried about is because we work for a lot of the school districts here and churches and things like that, and we're not too worried about those kind of customers, but we have a hard time getting retail work, houses, house calls and things like that, and we know that there's a big market. A lot of people have pianos here in our area, but it's been difficult to kind of unlock that market.
For new retail customers, is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
How long have you been on Google?
We've been on Google for the last, I would say, 3 months, but before that, we were doing a lot of Facebook and Instagram. But I know you guys you stick to more Google, right?
Yeah. Do you guys have any kind of a Google AdWords that you're doing right now?
Yes, pretty much everything piano related.
Okay. How much, do you mind if I ask, is the monthly budget, the spend on your ads?
Really don't have a budget, but we've been paying about, I think it's $200-300 a month.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And is there a lot of competitors around you?
There's one other gentleman, but he just started, and he's definitely more of a tuner than a technician. Yeah.
So there's one thing that I would highly recommend, and that is if we were to Google piano tuning, I can't remember what city, not Houston. Where are you guys at?
South Texas, south, like the very bottom tip.
Name
of
a city down there.
Harlingen.
What's the biggest city around there?
Harlingen. The center of everything is Harlingen.
Okay, piano tuning Harlinger, is that what you said?
Harlingen.
Piano tuning Harlingen. If I Googled that right now, are you coming up in the maps feature with your reviews? And if so, how many reviews in Google?
We only have about 10 reviews right now.
And your competitors?
About the same.
Okay. And you're not getting a lot of calls?
I mean, we get, I would say maybe like 1 service call a day for retail work.
Okay.
But we've seen we can see how many people view the link, how many people click the link, and it's been like an incredible amount. I mean, I had no idea that many people would be looking at it, and it's just kind of mind-boggling that many people are viewing it. I think in the last 3 weeks, it's been like 30,000 people, or in a month, and that we've been getting so little calls.
Yeah, so I think that a part of that, and this is a good thing for everybody to know, is you really need to make sure that you're only getting keywords that you want. You do not want to be coming up for piano teaching, retail, piano lessons, all of these things, because we've run into that too, Victor, where it's just like, man, we have like 60,000 people. Why did we only get 200 calls? You know, and it's because it's like you're getting impressions, is what they call it. And so a lot of people are seeing your ad for things that you don't want them to see. You want them to see piano tuning, piano tuner near me, you know, all of these things. Stacey, you have something to add?
Yeah, I was gonna say piano tuning and piano tuning near me, piano tuner. You could even expand a piano repair if that goes well, but those don't go with any others. If you start putting, yeah, it might be the keywords. It might be the keywords. What do you think, David?
I think
Yeah,
that's the
I think
problem.
it's
We
the
did
key.
that.
Yeah, I think it's the keywords. I would check, and I'm curious how well you're doing organically ranked. So when you put in piano tuning, wherever the city is, where are you on the page 1? If you're below 5, you're not going to get picked.
Okay.
I just did
a
a search for that city and piano tuning, and then also piano repair, and you are showing up on that first page within the top 5.
Great.
So that part's good. And also, you know, when it goes down to where it gives the Google Maps, you know, you're showing up, you know, in that Google Map section as well. So, you know, as far as visibility it's doing good, at least from my perspective.
Yeah, I think you're doing everything. I would just say network. Go to the local PTG chapter, and you're going to find a lot of old timers that are like, I'm so busy. Hey, I like you guys. I like Ramses's beard. I'm just going to give you, I'm going to start referring you. So network. You're doing everything you're supposed to be doing on Google, which is great. Couldn't be prouder of you on that. It just needs to get the networking going. And then, the idea is that you have so many lines of fishing lines out there. The more you can get out there, because you'll get 1 for Google a week, maybe 3. Oh, now you have so-and-so's piano tuning that he's so booked up, he's sending you 1 a week. And then you have the retailer. It's that. And then eventually you're going to hit this snowball effect.
Okay.
Hey,
Yeah.
Victor, I just typed in Rio Grande Valley. And you guys came up number 1 at the top of the page for piano tuners. You probably knew that.
No, yeah, and that, you know, I feel like what you were saying, David, was right. I think we have too many search words because we did put ourselves. If you look up anything piano related, piano lessons, piano sales, we made sure that people would see it. But we should take ourselves out of that.
Yeah.
So just
unless you like spending money on stuff you don't offer.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I think that's because you're exactly right. We're like, man, so many people are looking at it, but I'm sure a lot of it is for other things. And so
and what we found is when we did a deep dive and an inventory of what we want to be listed for, our monthly budget, we didn't even spend our budget. You know what I mean? And so it's like it goes further because you really only want to be coming up for a half a dozen things. That's it.
Oh, okay.
Victor, another thing I would recommend. Yeah, hello, Jared. Welcome. Another thing I'd recommend is be really brave. And after you're done tuning, go to the house on both sides of you.
So sorry.
It's okay. Go to the house on each side of you and say, hey, I just tuned so-and-so's piano. Do you have a piano? I'm not even joking. That would get my text when they would do it, like a couple extra a week tunings, like 2 more a week, but takes what, like 3 minutes? It's kind of out of the comfort zone, but you just gotta schedule. Yeah, go ahead, David.
Well, I'm just looking at Jared's shirt and I see something piano key related. I'm guessing it's his business. Boom, right there. You're wearing those shirts all day long, Victor. You're wearing a shirt like that, going to the grocery store, the gas station, all of that. I'm guessing, Jared, that gives you some business.
When you get pizza, when you go to the grocery store.
Everywhere.
Yep. You will get leads that way. You will absolutely get leads that way. If you wear.
And so if you notice,
Yeah.
Become your own walking billboard.
Yep.
Yeah.
Make sure your car.
Y'all have your cars, right? Artisan.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Make sure your car is has a number, has something. You can do vinyl lettering.
Even if you nice.
Yeah. No, I think the car is a good one. I seen you guys do it, but I just realized like, we should do that too.
Yeah. And even if you don't get a lot of customers, what it does is it says you're the expert. When you show up, it's the experience. And people are like, man, these guys are legit.
Can I show you guys something? Since I just chimed up.
Absolutely.
I'm new here. Sorry. So hello everyone. I'm Jared. I live in Florida. Speaking of cars, so I want to all on in and
look at that.
It is obnoxiously annoying for others, but it is as simplistic as it could be. And it catches people's attention all day long. Even if they don't have a piano, they're like, hey, I saw your car around town. It is the best investment I've gotten to use so far. So,
and a lot of times it's not, even if they don't have a piano, it's like, well, my aunt was talking about a piano. Can I get your card? Jared, what part of the country are you in?
I'm down in Florida on the East Coast, about 45 minutes north of Orlando. And just a quick, it is. I've been doing this about 2 years now. I finished your course about 2 years ago, right at the end of COVID time. And it has been beyond busy for us that I was able to let my wife stay at home with the baby, and she does some side jobs and such. But we, for you guys that are new into this, I kind of jumped into it with like, let's do some tunings on the side. And it is, we almost hit 6 digits for the, of income this year for 2023.
In 2 years?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it has been insane. We're doing 25, 30 a week right now, pianos and doing repairs and all. And so be encouraged. That's all I'm saying.
I'm so glad that you found us here with the more of the coaching and mentoring, because it's just that extra.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you guys for letting me be a part of this.
What area again were you in?
Florida.
I'm sorry.
What area were you in again?
I'm in Central Florida. So there's literally nobody in this Orlando area. Are you down this way?
No, I'm in Texas.
Okay. No,
no, crowbar.
No, man. I cover a 2.5 hour radius because nobody else is out here doing this. And
wow.
I'm gonna switch spots real quick. Sorry.
That's awesome.
But yeah.
So Jared, for those places that you go that are out on the border of your radius, are you charging an extra service drive fee for that or not?
Yeah. So what I do is I'm all about doing good deeds and balancing a great business plan, but I try to be fair for everybody, man. So I have my set rate. Anybody without, outside of a 60-mile radius, I'll say, hey, this is your rate. And there's a $30 travel fee. However, if you can find someone in your area to book the same day, I'll gladly waive that for both of you. And that kind of gives them incentive to be like, all right, cool, I've got this. I do have a neighbor who has, so that seems to work for us. I really enjoy what I do. I'm a piano player pre-becoming a technician. And so, that has been
Jared, this is awesome. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I've been meaning to. It's just, sorry, I don't know how to get a good angle. This room is messy. There.
Yeah, it's perfect.
So, yeah.
Stacy?
Sorry, what? Just another
Were there
question?
more questions?
There's so many. I was just so impressed with Jared.
Okay.
I loved what you said about like if you're going more than like 40 minutes or 50, like get neighbors. So you're doing them all in the same area. Or call, like look at your list. Like do you have be like, hey, I'm right here. You want me to come over and tune your piano, fill up your day that way? Another good question is, I like this one. What kind of communication do you have with existing customers throughout the year?
So we used to send hard mailers, and like it's time to tune. We used to send like quarterly sales, like discounted emails, cold call, and a lot of manual stuff. And since then, we do a monthly tech tip e-blast newsletter. And the open rate, the open rate is way high. The unsubscribe rate is way low. People are like, man, that's such a helpful thing. How do I keep my clean? What should the humidity be? What's a hygrometer? How do I fix a sticking key? They're just like, thank you. And there's a little video, just a little 30-second, 1-minute video. And it just says, hey, thank you for supporting us. We want to do something for you. Here's this. People love it. And guess what? Even if they don't need their piano tune, they see these every month, once a month. Who do you think they're going to call again and remember? Huge. That's probably the biggest one. And every time we do one, we get like 30, 50, 60 people booking within the locations that, and it just keeps building. So I would say, Stacey, would you agree that's the biggest thing we do in communication wise with our customers?
Yeah, that we always get a little flood, a bump of tunings when we do that. We're not even asking them to tune. We're just like trying to give back. We do automated emails that would remind them, oh, it's been over a year, just a reminder. And we also auto text them, like it's been over a year, it's been over 2 years. We kind of have custom messages for certain times, and we do that through Gazelle, which is very nice. We still call them too on occasion, you know, like, but yeah, I would say the email blast is really effective. And it's just giving back to them and giving them information.
We have automatic, all that stuff, Andy, is integrated within the software called Gazelle. And it changed our business. I mean, it took Gazelle, I should say. Would you say that's true, Stacey? It took Gazelle about 10 years to get to where they could help us. And then we jumped on this last year, and it's been a game changer for us, automating so many of the things that we used to have to do manually. Automatic reminders, follow-ups, things of that nature. Huge.
Oh, Andy had a question about the sequencing in Gazelle. They have some recommendation ones, but we customed ours I've onboarded so many texts to Gazelle. It's just not even funny how many times I've set up so I've seen like what's too often, what's too little. There's like a sweet spot, right? I would say the Gazelle recommendation seems a little intense for what I would probably suggest, but it's a good one. It's a good one to start. But I would make it yours, like make it a little more custom to your business.
Yeah, and some of the ideas that we have for the future for our little tribe here is coming up with stuff like that, where, hey, we're going to do a couple weeks where we're helping, one of the lessons every week is Stacey's talking about, okay, onboarding Gazelle, tweaking Gazelle for those that are getting it, and really helping support you guys that way. Because Stacey's was like beta testing with Gazelle. She should have probably been on their payroll back in the day when they were building this thing. So she knows it intimately and has done it with Artisan, with us and Artisan, and done it so that we can do multi-states in a very unique way. So the whole gamut, Stacey knows, and that would be something in the future with our group and stuff that we can probably work through.
All right, ready for some more questions? Or do you guys have some more already? There's more. So
Can I ask a quick question real quick, David?
Yeah.
There's one more thing that we're kind of worried about is we have some people that have taken the course, because we did it right, and now that we have people that are interested, so they've taken the course, and we're training them. But how do we kind of keep people from kind of maybe starting their own company or something like that?
Crowbar.
Yeah.
A non-competition disclosure in your contract with them. That's how they do it in medical. You can't start a new business within so many miles of us within 2 years, or it's in your contract.
I'd agree with that, Janice, but federal laws and state laws typically make it so you have to be paying that person a certain amount.
Oh,
For
really?
us here in Oregon, it's $115,000 salary.
Really?
And we weren't paying people that, at the time. And so we're like, wow, we can't do these non-competes. So what I have found is, Stacey, why do people leave? Why do people leave companies and why do people stay? This is the answer right here.
Ooh. So you always have that possibility that you're training your competition. That's very real. But There's
I've
two
done it a
reasons
lot.
why people will leave you. There's only two reasons why people will leave you when they're working for you. And it's either the frontline manager or the pay. And those are the two. Those are the top two every time, every single time. So if you have those, I mean, those are big ones. Would you agree with that, David? That's my experience.
It's 100% because we had one of the two always. We had high pay for Artisan. But until we had Stacy really working with our techs, nurturing them, creating the culture, we didn't have that other component. So yeah, we were paying really well, but they didn't feel heard. They didn't feel listened to and cared for. And so that would pay them well and create a culture with your, like what Stacy said, frontline manager, whoever that is, that they are, why would I leave? You know, our techs are like little lost boys and Stacy's like Mother Wendy to them. You know, they're not going to leave. And they get paid really well. They get, you know, that's the way to do it. And I've lost a lot of techs. I've trained a lot of techs only to see them go off on their own, and it hurts every time. But
yeah, so I worked in a lot of businesses here in Utah where the pay, that just wasn't enough pay, even though they loved it. But really, to create that culture, you got to remember that a tech, like that daily schedule is their whole life. So if you have techs working under you, you'll have to remember that that's like their whole life. And the most important thing to that tech is how their day feels, like how the schedule feels. Are they feeling rushed all the time? Are they having enough time? I mean, you have to make that schedule to where, I mean, I have some, you just have to cater to them, honestly. It's worth it because some of my techs are like, I need a half-hour lunch every day. And some are like, I like to start at this time. And some are like, I need this much time because they're newer and they need more time so they don't feel rushed. Because the worst thing you can do to a tech is rush them from appointment to appointment. And it's so stressful. You can't endure that very long, you know, or give them the ability to skill up in where they need to. There's so many things that you can do to make them feel and check in with them. Like, don't just like, they're kind of on their own every day. I'll just be honest. They're kind of in their car visiting these wonderful customers. And the thing is, if you want your customers to be treated well, you have to treat your techs. It's a pyramid, right? Like how you are treating your techs is how they're going to treat their customers. So you really need to up it. How they are being treated. Like check in with them. Don't just ignore them and think they're fine. They might not be fine. They might have questions and concerns and no one just asked. And I noticed techs just they're quiet. Like they don't want to cause problems and they don't want to rock the boat. So they won't say anything. But if you start asking them and start letting them know, like, it's okay to tell me how it's going, they'll start talking to you and then you can do something about it. So I could go on, but yeah, it's a big deal when you have people working under you.
Stacey's the master at that. Yeah. She was the missing
David,
piece for us.
When you're, just yourself starting out, how did you create cushions for yourself so you didn't get into scheduling problems or being able to know that you needed a little bit of extra time to give yourself a mental break and those type of things?
For myself, I think that there's a uniqueness about me that I will make it work. I will outwork my mistakes. Which is not the best, but I will outwork my mistakes. I will do it long days. I will fix it. I think I did a lot of that early on. And so luckily, I was married, with my wife, Kathy. And so she was fielding all the calls and doing all of that. It's hard to do it all. And so for those that have spouses and that are, or people in their lives that are willing to help, that's really helpful. But I would just say, usually like I said, you have more time than money. So usually you're not getting inundated with customers right away. It's not like you're going to start every day with 4 customers right away. It's like, okay, today I have 2. Great. Today I have 1. Usually you don't, at the height, I was working 6 days a week, 7 pianos a day and just crunching it, just going for it.
Wow.
And I I was also working at somewhere else. I had 2 employees. It was insane. So that's a great question. So I scaled up myself as I was head of a service department. I had my own business, but I was also head of a service department for a retailer as well. And they let me kind of moonlight. So I was working just insane hours. The business started to grow exponentially, and I hired like 2 techs before I even went full time. I was like funding everything. And so I had that stability to really be like, okay, before I make the plunge, I want to make sure I have 1 or 2 guys worth of busyness. So worst case scenario, I make the plunge, and if it falls apart, I have at least enough work to go. That's how I did it. And I used retailers to really help boost those new customers.
Hey, David, I have a quick
Oh,
question
go
on,
ahead.
I'm sorry, on pricing. You say don't put pricing on your website. And help me understand this, but at the same time, it's important that customers know when they walk in the door, tuning package, minor repairs, $150. So if it's important for them to know it when they walk in the door, why would it not be important for them to see it on your website?
We
Especially when
decided
that be basically my wheelhouse is just a tuning package, just a tuning service.
Yeah, what we decided to do was make it so that our website was intriguing enough, because that's your storefront, right? The website is your storefront. We wanted the website to be beautiful and intriguing enough that we wanted the last portion of this. Granted, this was 20 years ago, however many years ago. We wanted that call. We wanted the romance. We wanted them to have to call us and talk to our receptionist and be like, oh, these are unlike other people. That was what we did back then. Since then, we have pivoted and now have online booking where they can select. They have to go through the series and they get to the point where they're selecting what service and they can see the price. But again, that same mentality is we've created such a website that gives you such the feel goods that by the time you're at that point, even if you're a little bit like, oh, that's a little bit more expensive, you're like, I'm going to do it. These guys are not like anything else.
Yeah, y'all are
So on the
very
main website, you're not showing the pricing, but you're allowing the Gazelle scheduling part of it to show the pricing.
Correct.
Okay.
Great question. That's a great question.
And you'll know when you're ready to go. Like when you don't have enough time, but you have more work to do, that's when you have to start thinking of, well, what do? I hire a tech, or even better, I would recommend is hire someone to handle your schedule and the phones. I would say that even before a tech, because that'll just like, like first thing I would say, if you want to grow your business, is schedule a year out at every appointment. Always schedule a year out, always. And number 2, hire someone to take those phones in the schedule, because it's transformative. Those 2 things.
It'll pay for itself.
Stacy, at an appointment, when you say schedule a year out, is it you wrap up your tuning, you kind of have a process for talking to the customer before you leave? Is it essentially like, hey, when, can we get you on the books for 12 months from now type thing, like right there? Or what?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, that's so effective. If you're like, hey, like right before you take payment, be like, I can just get you on the schedule for next year, and I can give you a call, or whoever's doing your calling, we'll just call you a few weeks out, like start. I've worked with about 5 techs where they weren't that busy, right? But you do that for a year, and then the next year, that's when it gets exciting, because all of a sudden they're half booked. They're half full before. And what's great about that is then you can logistically plan any tunings in the same area, drive times down. I mean, it's a game changer. If you can just do it for a year, then you're like, oh, I'm in Spanish Fork this day. Oh, I'm in this area this day. So when you're scheduling, and then everything's tight, and it's just, I've seen it just happen like 5 times, and it's so beautiful. It's just like so
Stacey,
beautiful.
what's the success rate, or what's the percentage of those sticking?
So I literally take metrics on this because I've done it so much. So 85% of them will stick the next year. You call 2 weeks out. Yeah, you'll have some that are like, I don't know. And you have to pitch it right when you call. Cause I trained someone a few months ago and they weren't pitching it right because they'd be like, you have a tuning in 2 weeks. And I'm like, no, don't, like, say it like, hey, I have you on the schedule in 2 weeks. It looks like it was made last year when we tuned your piano. Like, remind them, be nice about it. And then they're usually like, oh yeah, okay, that'll be fine. Or they might change the day, but it's just game changer.
Yeah, that's great.
How are you, curious, you mentioned sort of like route density, and how are you doing that? You know, I mean, or do you just have like all the addresses on a spreadsheet, or do you have some kind of like Google Pins, or, you know, to see it?
Andy, it's so awesome. Let me show you. I'm going to show you. Okay. I'm just going to show you because I think it would be fun to share my screen. All right. Is it okay? Here we go. So check this out. I don't know if you guys can see it, but I hope this is okay. I'm showing this, David. So in Gazelle, they have a
look at the schedule.
So look at this. Look at this. This tech, I promised I would never give him more than 30-minute drive time, right? We'll keep it full, but I try to keep it even less. But do you see this? Like, it tells you the drive time. So that tech wakes up, oh, okay, I've got to start this day. This is my first appointment. I have a downtime. And I have some that are a little different, right? But so it actually like, if you know your area well, you can just kind of guesstimate, right? But if you don't, that self-scheduler, when you book the appointment, Gazelle will actually help you find, it'll give you these dates open. It'll try to find the closest appointment, like future appointment next to what you're scheduling. So you're like, oh, how about this day? Or it's really kind of amazing because that means I can book tunings in Texas and not know the area and still like book them tight. It's kind of amazing.
Stacy, I don't know. What I'm imagining, just given what time it is right now, is that coffee hour is going to be coffee/business hour on Friday. These are great questions. And if you guys, maybe a show of hands, who's okay doing coffee hour and then answering more business questions. Okay.
Yes, that'd be great.
Jordan, you going to be there Friday morning, 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time.
Oh yeah, Jared, that's early for you. Florida.
That's late for him.
That's late.
That's late.
I'm opposite.
10 p.m. or 10 a.m. I mean.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I forget. I'm always in the time zone.
Tell me again what time that's for.
Our coffee hour is 7 a.m. post standard time. So that would be
Pacific Standard Time.
Pacific. Sorry, Pacific.
10 a.m. Eastern.
Yeah. Usually, by that time, I'm already 2 or 3 deep at that point. I will. I'll see if maybe I can start scheduling that because I've been trying to catch all these. I've been going back and like watching them via YouTube like every night, and while I'm driving, listening to them, so I'm familiar with all your faces, and I feel like I know all of you guys already. So cool.
That's awesome.
He's been stalking us via YouTube.
Yeah, secretly. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Especially you, Michael.
It's the hair. It's got to be the hair.
Jared and everybody, continue to send. And Jared, if you have specific questions, even if you're not able to make it, send them to Stacy, and then we'll go ahead and just make sure to address them on Friday.
Perfect.
And then they'll be posted so you can watch it and go from that. But we'll do. Maybe we usually don't record the Friday ones, but we'll go ahead and record this next one because it'll be a business coffee hour.
That's cool.
Does that sound good?
I like it.
All right.
Happy Valentine's.
Happy Valentine's. I'll see you on Friday for coffee hour.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.